Engage quantum drive.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining Rob and I for another episode of Quantum Drive. Just a quick thing right before we jump in. We had some tech issues, so the video did not record like it normally does, but we still had video, and it just will look a little different this week. So thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoy. I hope and we hope you enjoy this episode.
Before we get into the episode discussion, Katie has trivia.
I sure do. I feel like I say that every time. I sure do.
Well, we've got our patterns. It's fine.
We do. We have patterns at this point. First up, the song Scott Grimes sings at the beginning of this episode was featured in the episode Lasting Impressions, which I believe is one of Rob's favorite episodes.
I'm a bit of a fan of it, yeah.
a bit of a fan. But it is also a song entitled That's All I've Got to Say from the movie The Last Unicorn.
Yeah.
I've never seen The Last Unicorn. Rob and I were talking about this because Rob helped me figure out where the song was from.
Yeah, I have seen The Last Unicorn, although when I watched it, that song didn't jump out to me. Like, my only association with that song is this show.
And I only had this song thinking it was from this show. I didn't actually know it was from anything else. So that was new to me. Scott Grimes is also a musician, which I think we've seen featured in past episodes, but I dug a little deeper into his past with music making. He started singing when he was a kid. He's known for co-writing and performing the soft rock single Sunset Boulevard, which spent several weeks on the Billboard charts.
Oh, wow.
And he's also one of 4 singers in Russell Crowe's band Indoor Garden Party.
That I feel like I had heard before. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was really neat. And also, Scott Grimes' first music album was just simply titled Scott Grimes, just self-titled, and it was released by A&M Records in 1989.
Oh, cool. I kind of want to look into that now.
I know. I kind of want to get on Spotify. I hope it's on Spotify because then I can just pull it up while I'm working and listen to some Scott Grimes tunes because he's got a beautiful voice. And
he really does, yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like they featured that at the beginning of this episode. So it's important to highlight that. There's a point in this episode where the Kalon show up and there's a couple ships that get blown up. I don't know if you noticed that at all.
Oh, yeah. Ships go boom.
Ships go boom. And Rob sent me a screenshot and I was like, wait a second. There is a name on that piece of ship hurtling towards the Orville. And the name of the ship seems to be Costantino, like Tom Costantino, you know, producer and editor for the show.
Yeah.
So I think Rob found a secret Easter egg in this episode.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that coming toward the screen, I knew I would have to pause it later because that is a perfect place to hide something.
And it was a place that something was hid. So,
yes.
I mean, on the YouTube, I'll pull up a little screenshot and put it up so people can see it. But that was a good find, Rob. I was doing another pause and read on another screen, which was not Scott Grimes, but Gordon Malloy's obituary that they feature, which was so sad.
Yeah.
Just like seeing his like picture where they aged him and everything. But I immediately made a note that I needed to pause and read this. So I thought I'd read a little bit of it to give some fun facts about Gordon Malloy and his life on Earth from 2015 on.
Okay.
Apparently, he died peacefully at his home in Pasadena, California. He was an exceptionally skilled pilot and maintenance mechanic for a local charter airline. He moved to Pasadena from rural Connecticut in 2018 and married his beloved wife, Laura Huggins, a singer and teacher, the following year. Little is known of Mr. Malloy's life before he moved to Pasadena. According to acquaintances, he earned his private pilot's license in his late teens and was largely self-taught as an aircraft mechanic. Colleagues describe him as one of the most intuitive and insightful aerospace specialists they have ever known, with a knowledge of engines, aerodynamics, and electronic flight systems surpassing that of many graduates of top-tier universities. And I'll only read one more paragraph, and then I'll post it on the YouTube so people can read that too. They can pause the screen. But I just thought this stuff was interesting because it kind of builds on a version of Malloy that lived like a full life somewhere else.
Yeah.
In a career spanning more than 3 decades, Malloy logged some 25,000 flight hours in a variety of commercial and experimental aircraft. He was certified to fly Contra rotating twin propeller planes, single twin and triple engine jets, and late in his career, hypersonic trans-atmospheric vehicles powered by liquid, hybrid, solid, and metallic hydrogen-fueled rocket motors.
Jeez.
I just thought, I love that because I'm like, that's future tech. Like,
Yeah.
that's future from us tech. And I thought that was a fun little
I wonder
Easter
how much
egg.
he had to hold back, like, because he knows so much of what's coming. And obviously, you can't influence technology in that way.
But he influenced other things, that's
Oh, yeah.
for sure. So I really like that. One of the last bits on this paragraph says his favorite flying machine was a single seat, jet powered stunt plane he designed and built himself. And it goes on. And I have screenshots from both of them. The only other thing I wanted to highlight is his wife, Laura, described him as a homebody and a bit of a prankster.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was sweet. But yeah, I really was curious if I could pause it and actually read this. And so I was able to. And if you're interested in the life that Gordon led on Earth after going back in time, I think it's a fun way to insert that into the episode without actually getting a chance to show it.
Yeah,
so you
and
still
I think
get to
about
find
the
out.
fact too that somebody had to actually write that.
Mm-hmm. There was
in.
one thing in here which I was like, is this a continuity error? But I have questions about. It says he is survived by his wife Laura, his son Edward, and 2 granddaughters, but she was pregnant.
I noticed that too.
So that was the only thing which I wonder if they made a decision later, like, oh, we're going to make Laura pregnant. But I'm like, oh no, did something happen to the baby?
It could have been either or. Yeah, it could be a continuity error or something did happen to the baby and it didn't survive.
And that's the thing about it is because we don't know what happened and anything could happen, it very well could not be a continuity error and could just be something happened. And I don't want to think about that, but that was something I noticed when I was reading this as well.
The word continuity is very much in flux with a time travel episode anyway, so.
Yeah, it's true. Like, I mean, continuity is important, but sometimes in time travel, things get a little wobbly, I think.
For sure.
All right, let's move on to guest stars. And first up is Graham Hamilton, and he does the voice of a Kaylana in this episode. He has played the Kaylon primary in Identity Part 1 and 2. And I never looked into him before, but he also plays a main character in the video game Twin Mirror, which I've actually played.
Oh, okay.
It's like one of those decision-based Life is Strange type games.
Yeah, from the same devs as Life is Strange.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah.
So I was like, no way. He was in that. And then he's done a ton of voice work, lots of video games, lots of TV and movie. And apparently he was also the body double of Luke Skywalker in the Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, no way. That's cool.
Because they do like the deepfake type deal on that, right? Which they do a lot now in TV.
Yeah.
Like, which scares me because I know deepfakes are kind of bad in real life, but like the way they are applied to TV and movies, I'm like, oh, you can like literally insert anyone at any age into a movie now.
It's wild. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought that was super neat. And he was only in this as like for when they come up on the screen to surrender the device. Up next is Leighton Meester, and she's back playing Laura and returning from the episode Lasting Impressions. And notably, she's been in Gossip Girl as Blair Waldorf and How I Met Your Father as Meredith.
Yeah. Good to see Leighton Meester back.
Yeah. And we've talked about her before, but I was like, I gotta give her a shout out. There is a fake TV show in this episode, and there are 2 actors you might recognize in it. One being Jack McBrayer, who was from 30 Rock as Kenneth, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and then Johnny Knoxville of Jackass fame.
Yeah.
Just kind of surprised to see both of them in this, but I want to see this sitcom. I want a full episode.
I'm curious how much thought and preparation goes into writing the dialogue for a fake sitcom that you're only going to show like a small portion of.
I don't know. I love Jack McBrayer, so getting to see him in this, he's in so much. When I was going through his Internet Movie Database, you have got to have seen him in something over the years if you consume any sort of like entertainment at all. And Johnny Knoxville, just, I grew up in that era of Jackass, and he's kind of, I feel like legendary in a certain way. So you see him, you're like, oh, that's Johnny Knoxville. But some people might not know that. So had to highlight the fake TV sitcom that I want a full episode of, please. Jackson Lee Hill, who played Gordon's son Edward in this episode, Has just a few credits to his name, but I had to mention this. He starred in the movie, not the movie, the TV show Pam and Tommy, that kind of was big and controversial about Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee.
Mm-hmm.
I almost said Tommy Lee Jones, and I was like, that's not correct. But he played young Rand in this show, and that was the child version of Seth Rogen's character, who is another major character in this TV show.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen it, so.
I watched part of it. I never finished it.
Mm-hmm.
I watched like 3 episodes, and then I was like, But I don't know, maybe I'll go back to it. I tend to do that. I start a lot of shows, I walk away from them for a while, and then sometimes I go back and I'm like, man, why didn't I finish this? Last but not least is Ryan O'Flanagan, who played the young biker hitting on Charlie in the bar.
Yeah.
He is a comedian, and I thought he looked super familiar. I don't know what I know him from, but he's been in a ton of things, including American Vandal, which is a satire true crime documentary on Netflix.
Okay.
It's about like somebody in high school who's like spray painting phallic images on things, and it's kind of like a joke documentary, and I think I may have seen him in that, but he's also done voices on American Dad, and he's on a Paramount Plus show called Players, which is a show that follows esports about a League of Legends team looking to win their first championship.
Oh my goodness.
I had no idea that existed. And so I didn't, at first I was like, oh, is this a documentary about esports? And then I was like, no, it's a show about esports. So you may have seen him there. He's done a ton of stuff as well, but those were all the fun facts and guest stars from this episode.
Okay.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. This is just a segment of the full podcast that Rob and I do. So if you want to hear more of our thoughts and full episode discussions, go to thegeekgeneration.com/quantum drive.